All right, so Mr. Peter Ojonegwa joins us now. He's former chairman of IPAC. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
A lot of conversation about this local government autonomy. We know a lot of backstory, not even now, from our president's time to there was a big debate. But at this point in time, what do you sense is really going on with this debate?
With the debate, it has always been the fact that governors are not willing to let local government, run free. Because you have what they call State Independent Electoral Commission that is captured in Chapter 7 of the Constitution. And you look at the issue of local government and state joint account, which is captured in Section 162(5)(7). And that's why the Supreme Court, was able to abolish. But we still have an issue. Yeah. The issue is still basically about free, fair, and credible electoral processes at the local government level, which is captured in Section 197. That is standing very firmly. So if you don't have a free electoral process that brings in people independently into office, that can now determine, the future of local government, because in the same Chapter 7, third schedule is the fact that local government is supposed to be a third tier of government that is supposed to be responsible, for the management of affairs at local level. But that is not what is obtainable. The greatest electoral fraud fostered on our democratic process is the sex. And they are not really a problem per se. They are a problem because we have no state assemblies that are supposed to be doing the work or share power with the governors in the state. The state assembly are in a vegetative state. They are more weak. They are weak than any other institution in this country, and they have given so much power to the governor, to manipulate the process of running local government system in Nigeria. So the current debate, if you look at Buhari, he came up with Order 10. Order 10 executive order, that could not override the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the person who shouted so loudly against that order was Wike. He went up to Supreme Court that order should not see the light of day, because he felt that with that order, executive order 10, you would have had independence for the local government electoral process, and the local government and state joint account would have been abolished. But that became a problem, and we lost that because I think they weren't creative enough and bringing executive order to try to overturn the constitutional provision. But what the current Attorney General did was to go to Supreme Court and then ask, what do we do? And Supreme Court have given a very good decision in this process. It has abolished 162, and that there's no local government joint account, that any money standing to the credit of the local government should be directly paid from the direct line charge to the local government authority or council's account. And then you now have an issue that they now have guarantee of tenure. Because before now, a state governor can just wake up with the money from one or the wrong side of the bed and dissolve the local government in his state, as if they are one part of his commissioners that he appointed. And because there are no elections and there's nobody to hold them to account for doing that. So that has further weakened our democratic process in the state. That's further weakened governance system in the state, and it has further destroyed the ability of local government, to cater for the masses within the local structures in the state.
I mean, when it comes to elections at local levels, you see, the concept of local government autonomy is wonderful. And I remember when this happened, everyone was so excited about it because we figured, one of the issues that we have is security, and the insecurity that we're dealing with in the country actually starts at local levels. If we empower these local government chairmen and they have empowerment programs in the communities, governance would reach the nooks and crannies, and we can identify when strange people come into the neighborhood. We can do all of these things. Now, with all of that being said, based on the debates that are going on, it does seem like in many ways, while it's great on paper, in its operation, will we see that level of independence and democracy, especially when it comes to local elections?
I want to be optimistic, but for Supreme Court, this is not the first time Supreme Court is making judgment about the autonomy of local government in Nigeria. It happened in 2002 in Abia State, and 350 persons. That's happened in a Kitty case, so there have been several times that this judgment have come up, to favor the independence and the freedom for the local government system. The issue is that the governors are very crafty, and they are very funny, and they are not interested in the overall development of our communities. They're actually not really interested, because I do not see any reason why, as a governor, you have your own allocation and certain percentage coming from the federation account, and all you want is to be able to take money meant for the development of local government. Today, you don't see local government building roads, and that is the part of the issue with the insecurity you're talking about. They can't build local markets anymore. They can't cater for community health centers. They don't even have budget, because naturally you have what they call councillors. And councillors are like lawmakers, as you see in the State Assembly and the National Assembly. They are supposed to be responsible in making bylaws for the development and good governance of the local government. And they are supposed to also be passing the budget of the local government. But today, the governor will send a list of what to be done by the local government. They are like their boys. These people have no independence. They have no confidence to take decision without resorting back to the state governor. You find out that there's no when we started this Fourth Republic, the 1998 local government election was conducted at the federal level. I do not believe that we should transfer the power to conduct local government election to INEC anymore, because I think that we'll be transferring so much power to the federal government to manage, that will further also weaken the fabric of independence of local government.
Two things here from what you're saying. Do you think that this particular judgment might be a little different from the previous judgments of the Supreme Court because the executive appeared to be interested in this one?
Yeah, this particular judgment will be different because this particular judgment went very, very far. One, it has said that because of the rascality displayed by governors in management of public funds, especially as it relates to Section 162(5)(7), when it talks about local government and state joint account, and that that joint account had been abolished.
Yeah.
So money goes directly to local government. Now you find out that local government chairmen have not been accountable in any way. They don't arrest them because, the money actually goes to the state governor who will now determine what will happen. If you remember a case in Ogun State, there's a local government chairman who came out to say, no, we can't come and be signing when you have spent the money. That local government chairman forgot it. It was suspended. It was kicked out. And nothing happened today. And, this collective amnesia that Nigeria usually develop, that they can't fight for those who are fighting for them, is also a major problem. So this one will have a better impact. Because when money is now credited directly from the federal account to the local government, whatever the local government chairman does with it, if he likes, withdraw it and give it to his governor, he will account for it.
Because I was just going to say that.
Yeah, there's going to be some
because we see that from, if you talk to people that have worked in local governments, that they tell you when the money comes, the local government chairman, because he doesn't want to quarrel with his governor, he will just carry the money and give back to him as a sign of respect.
Because he has the power to dissolve the local government council. Yes. But now that power does no longer exist.
No, but even if that power doesn't exist anymore, just so that you don't have acrimony with your governor, we have a situation where many local governments chairmen will not stand their ground. And
they have a problem. As soon as we find local government chairmen being tried, as soon as we find a lot of them have been called, to account for the money given to them, what project was used for. Because the FCC can also invite them, IPC can invite them now. Before, it wasn't the case because it is a clear-cut process now. The money came directly to your account. You are responsible in withdrawing that money. You can't tell me that the governor sat in the state and local government joint account committee and managed the money the way he wanted. You can no longer say that.
So in other words, for that to happen, for that accountability to happen, two things. The anti-corruption agencies have got to be looking at them, and then the people at the local government levels. You need to ask them questions.
I don't know the local government people talk about. If you talk about people in municipal local government in Abuja, in local areas where we come from, very interior forest-driven communities. Sincerely, people have been broken, by this, how they call it, high-handedness of our political office holders.
But they can say petition the anti-corruption
I think gradually, as we go on, especially the councillors will now start to see, when we do allocate this money for you to spend? Because it is all about appropriation too. You can't just have money going into local government account without the councillors, working the budget for you. So you have a lot of ways, because if you do misappropriation, you mismanage the public fund, you do money laundering, all that way, the buck will stop on the table of the local government chairman. And now you can see part of the judgment says that as soon as you dissolve a democratically elected council chairman, resources will no longer be allocated to that local government. So there's another.
That's why they were conducting those elections.
There's another thing that the Supreme Court judgment have done. It has given guarantee of tenure.
Yeah.
Before there wasn't guarantee. If you come in, you can spend 6 months and you are driven out of the place. So the Supreme Court judgment has also said, look, as soon as we must have democratically elected local government chairman as stated by the Constitution.
So political parties, you have a role here because you can then encourage a lot of people go to councillorship seats. Go for those kind of positions, because it's a gradual. They had to build from Hong Kong when they built from the ground. People thought they were going to go up. They just went down there.
What about South Africa? South Africa do the same thing.
So why can't we do the same thing?
Julius Malema, when he resigned for ANC, formed this party. The party grew from the local government elections. You can't have that process.
So parties can target those areas.
So what we should do with the constitutional amendment, when parties can benefit from this, is when the Section 197 comes into play. The Supreme Court and anything have not talked about the Section 197. Section 197 is the composition, existence, and reordering of the State Independent Electoral Commission. Because as it stands, the State Independent Commission cannot speak. The governor appoints all members of that committee. The State Assembly are the weakest link in our democratic system process as we sit right now. In whatever level you want to look at it, whatever the state government brings to them, they will approve in their bedroom, like Dogara said.
What would you propose? How do that amendment, what should happen?
First of all, we need to amend the laws that allow this money meant for the State Assembly. Because it's the State Assembly that can manage the state. Because they are supposed to be sharing power with the governor in the state. They are not supposed to be an appendage of the governor. They are not supposed to be hallelujah boys to the governor. They are supposed to be another, arm of government that determines how the good governance, development, and policy of the state is managed and run. But as I speak today, their money goes to the state governor. If any State Assembly man today wakes up and said, Governor, you have to come and account for this 4 billion, they will stop giving him money. He will not get salary. And that man was elected. So we have to first save the State Assembly so that we can save the local government, so that the State Assembly have the necessary authority to be independent itself and then take charge of what happens to the local government system.
You know, when we look at local government autonomy, there's so many benefits that, that accrue to local government autonomy. One of them is actual democracy, actual democratic processes, all these many political parties that we have. This is an opportunity, and I want to be able to bring that up with you, because CUPP and these coalitions that you run, it's such a pivotal moment when it comes to political parties, especially those in opposition. Because what used to happen was, if the governor is APC, everybody, including the dogs on the street, everybody will be APC as well. But now with local government autonomy and the ability for them to do elections at that level, many political parties, which I know that you coordinate, have the opportunity to infiltrate governance from those levels. And we see actual democracy, so that every governor knows that he's not going to be able to win across board. He will have dissenting voices, which makes governance better. Is this an opportunity that many political parties in these organizations like the CUPP, which you run, are they going to be able to take advantage of this? Is this a conversation that you're having right now?
The issue is that we need to first clarify the 2 points. There's Section 162 that has actually been treated, which is financial autonomy for the local government system. We do not have electoral autonomy for the local government system as we speak. But you have governors who have felt that we run a multi-party democratic system, because if you go to our system, it's a multi-party system, and it's established in Section 223 to 229. That gives opportunity that we have more than one political party in existence, as we talk to speak. So, but the problem is that, like River State, Abia State, and Bauchi, these states have allowed other parties to, thrive and participate and then win election. But the other states are not giving space for the Electoral Commission to conduct free and fair process. So for us to get this right, get it really right, in this constitutional amendment, the people crying today in the state, in this National Assembly, you look at it, that was for all former governors who are in the state, National Assembly, who cannot win their local government. They are not crying that there should be autonomy for local government. And when they were there, they were manipulating the entire process. So you find out that because in their state now, they are in the opposite party. The party in the state is not the party they belong to. Majority of them, I won't want to name them because some of them are people I'm close to. So this is a problem that if we must get the local government system right, we must have the reordering of the local government State Independent Electoral Commission, re-established, which is the Section 197.
So if that were to happen, how will they be elected? How will we get people who will run those positions in SIEC?
We have a process. This process will totally be transferred, just like we are also proposing that the INEC should be a process that the House of Reps nominate certain numbers of persons, transfer it to the National Assembly, to the Senate, and the Senate go through the screening, and then appoint one person to go to take over the management of the commission, which takes away the burden of loyalty from the appointing authority.
But that's not foolproof.
No. It's far better. It's far better from what we have today.
How?
It's far better. What we have today is just one man, the president, sit down. He's a member of a political party.
Okay, so if my party, or Kela's party, is majority in the Senate and the House of Reps, and then who is going to nominate these people, for instance?
You see, it's far better because that's why you have in the National Assembly, you have minority leader, deputy minority leader, because there's a opportunity for the minority to also have a say.
Yeah.
But in the case of the president, the other parties have no say. They have no contribution. They can't participate.
So how will this people emerge before they go to the
That is the part of the public hearing process. You understand? When the House of Reps don't carry out these nominations, it will go through a public hearing, and that public hearing will go to the National Assembly. It's far better. It is far better than to leave it in the hands of one man, because the composition of the National Assembly, you have 109 senators that don't belong to one party. You understand? So this is far better. And for the state also, you must also free this. The state is more difficult.
The same process for the state.
It's even more difficult because even if you allow the state assembly to nominate, they will still go and kneel down before the governor in the night, get a name, and come and nominate.
In the night.
but this is where we are in this same country, where we say anybody going to INEC must not be a card-carrying member. Don't we see before our very eyes?
No, INEC has been bastardized. There's no doubt about that. INEC does no longer have that independence and
so
respect.
So is it the position they will not bastardize?
When you find out that somebody who has served as SC, Survey and Development in Rivers State, is the state electoral commissioner.
National Assembly, they still clear them.
So we need to develop this culture. We need to be able to do something that saves the INEC from the intrusion that is having, especially from the executive.
Who is we?
All of us, including you. The governance affects all of us.
What did I do?
No, we need to participate. There has to be critical stakeholders collaborations, whether from the media, whether from political party, whether from civil society. There has to be this collaboration that we must push point and make sure that the National Assembly sees the reality that is before us. Because you can't have partisan people running the commission and you expect a different outcome.
Section 197. What should be fixed about this section?
That section is to make sure that we conduct a free and credible electoral process, using whatever established new model, not CX.
Okay.
CX can be there. We can change the reordering, the appointment, and the structure of CX, to be able to leave the caprices and control
CX is made
of the
up of people.
They're made up of people, but they are appointed by the governor. So
even if they were appointed through a democratic process, they can be corrupt if they want to be.
Sometimes the appointing authority also have an issue in an African clime.
So what's the point? The point is that members of CX should not be appointed by the governor.
They should not be appointed by the governor.
Where should they come from?
They should come from the state assembly. They should come from the state assembly. But like I told you, we also have a problem
with
the
state assembly.
Of course.
So that's the same assembly you say is a big problem.
When we look at Justice Way electoral report panel, what they wanted was that the NJC should appoint the chairman of the commission and then take that nomination to INEC. But people have said that that is like giving the same power, so much power to the judiciary, because the judiciary said we also educate on these issues coming from the election. That was the reason why the Justice Way panel electoral report did not scale through. So we have to
even judges too. I did not appointed by governors from the states.
We have to be ingenious and look for an alternative that can work. But today you can't have the president and the governors appointing these people and expect a different outcome.
Well, it's important that yes, we do something about that state to ensure that there's level of transparency in the states. But where the concern still lies is the state assemblies, as you've said. So it looks as if there has to be a holistic approach to all of these things, and not leave it to just say, let's restructure CIEC and then leave it like that. So you suggested the state assemblies have to get their funds directly.
The state
so
assembly,
if that happens, then they can then perhaps have the confidence to oversee whoever comes to CX, because it's still a democracy, a federal system.
It's a federal system. Because if you now follow those of us before who were nowhere informed, would say that INEC should conduct local government elections in Nigeria. You will further make one man so powerful in the 774 local government system in our country. They will now start to appoint, and that will further put a central unitary system in place, which is not good for the federating unit kind of democracy that we run. So the Nigerians generally must also must show citizens active participation in how they are governed, because a lot of Nigerians are already withdrawn. They don't care. They feel it's not their government, make them do what they want. Now, what they want, they put us for this trouble. So we need to wake up.
We started off today trying to talk about the tax reform bills. That's what we started trying to do today. I read your article.
And those pictures
And the pictures from the EFCC hit us, and we just couldn't believe what we're looking at. But I want to be able to bring you back to the tax reform bills and the issues that we're seeing with some states and the arguments. We had a town hall yesterday, and Nasarawa State Governor reiterated what we knew that many governors have been saying. No, let's take this back. Town halls like this, according to him, town halls like this were supposed to happen before it was even taken to the National Assembly. So let's pull this back, and then we can revisit it. What's your take, again, on this issue?
I think that, for me, first of all, I would say Nigeria has no money problem. It's just that we literally carry our money and then put fire in and then lit it on fire. There's this massive governance expenditure that we must be able to do, costing measures to be able to reduce the cost of governance. So if we reduce the cost of governance, we'll have excess money than overtaxing our people. But you cannot say that reforms are not good. The laws that they are trying to reform today is a law that is over 100 years old, that none of us even made. So reforms are good. But what process are you taking? Are you doing it because you are the president and you have so much authority to take whatever decision, and also you have, you have in your pocket the National Assembly? That's a bad way to go about it. If you know, when you say federalism and you say federal system, federating unit, that means you have more than one layer of governance system. So you have state, you have local government, and federal. So you must have put this into consideration and how others will feel. So what the China's television have done is a wonderful thing, but it's like you're putting the cart before the horse. So what we should have done, what the president should have done in the first place, was to start a consultation from each of the zone, and then try to make people buy into the process. To understand this tax reform bill, government is going to take 5% from the amount currently being taken from the federation account, and then add it to that of the state. Government is going to do this, government is going to say VAT is so. So this explanation is necessary, because when people feel that things are being done in so much in a hurry and shaded in secrecy, with the fact that you didn't even start the committee well. The committee wasn't I don't see the committee has been balanced enough.
How do you mean?
Everything is skewed to the south. You have to wake up and say, look, let all of us sit on the table.
What if they say that, look, these are professionals?
I don't know professionals in the north. I don't know professionals in my village. I don't know professionals in the southeast. There are professionals everywhere. You have to make it an open process, and you have to accommodate everybody.
The same village that is everywhere broken.
They are professionals.
But, there's still going to be public hearing at the end of the day.
No.
Doesn't that come for something?
Because that's what Mr. Taiwo is saying. There's going to be public hearing.
Even not from this pressure. I'm telling you.
If we continue this process, if we continue things like this, nothing will ever get done. There will always be someone that is trying to hold things back.
You would have seen the third reading and passage of the budget. They're not making us afraid the way they pass laws, especially when it has to do with the interests of the president.
But from your experience in terms of what you've seen in politics, if this bill is withdrawn, is that not the end of it?
No, it can't be the end of it. There are several bills that have been withdrawn before, and probably, consultation takes place, and a lot of people are saying that
the turnaround time. Let's not be joking.
This bill has so much benefit, even to the north, yes, in some cases. But I feel, because now you are going to say that agricultural product will not be taxed, and that comes with a lot of opportunity.
And then
those who have a lot,
low income Nigerians will not be
taxed.
Middle income.
I'm not against generally of the bill. It is the package, the way it's been hurriedly put in place, and the rush as if there's something hidden inside.
But since
people are saying that I hope Alpha Beta will not be the one collecting, because they said there will be private agency that will be collecting. So there's this fear. So you have to allow this thing to die down, and then create. Look at one person having 730 something houses. This is like people having mental problem, which will be taken to psychiatric hospital for evaluation because you don't need it. So Nigeria, I feel if government wants to be sincere, they should be able to immediately auction those houses to ordinary Nigerians who earn below 100. It's public money, it's government money, because we don't even know. Those houses will still disappear.
It's not the first time houses have been seized.
You will remember.
It's not the
because
first time
it's a problem of process of crime.
What happens? The ones that have been seized before, were they auctioned? Where are they?
They are with another government person who now has control and has power. That is the problem of our corruption. Our problem is mostly corruption and indiscipline by public officials.
Because, they also need to see how they could smoothen all of that process. So that, because in other climes, what they do is it's about the economy. Because I see sometimes, I don't know if it still happens now, once maybe a company or a business transaction is seized, it dies. They won't even say, okay, you know what, we'll put it a receiver manager. You ensure that it's properly, professionally managed, and the resources are going to the state or something. We don't see those kind of scenarios.
We are bureaucratic bottlenecks that has been built. Unnecessary bureaucracy is the problem. You see, the Nigerian government sees cars. You see a lot of cars somewhere along the central area. They will be parked there for 20 years and they will not be useful.
Those are resources.
Those are resources being wasted. They will seize a company from the corrupt official, and that company will be locked up. The staff will be driven away. When you know there are still competent hands that can manage this company and then make profit of it. You see, this free money has really killed our system because people just print money, steal it. People make appropriation for budget, don't execute the contract. People over-inflate contract. That's number one thing. Those days, let me tell you, in the 70s and 80s, young people who are rich today can go and go for tenders board, apply for contract and get it. The contract is already given before it was even given to appropriation committee in the National Assembly. So you can't even go to the ministry and get it. As soon as you get there, you apply for the contract, they'll look under the table, it's not available, sir. Because the names are already attached from the National Assembly. So the corruption is huge. If we can cut that corruption and bring discipline into our system, there'll be enough resources to develop this country.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, as always, Mr. Peter Ojonogwa, former chairman of IPAC. Well, first is Akimboyewa and Prof. Enahena, thank you for your comments. You're also not happy with what you've seen with those 709. Is it 53 or 93?
It's 753.
I don't even want to remember those kind of
You don't want to remember the figures?
I don't want to remember figures from proceeds of crime.
Honestly, 753 duplexes.
All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm Chamberlain Osoko. Bye.
Have a great day ahead. I'm Kayla Magwa.